all set, let me
Good
know.
good morning. Yes, you are.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and it is also Ash Wednesday. Today is March 5th, 2025. This is the West Hartford Public Safety Committee meeting. This committee meeting will be available for live viewing on the WHCI YouTube channel, and this is a virtual meeting. I'd like to recognize everybody around the virtual screen, starting with our town manager, Rick Ledwith, Councilor McGinnis, Councilor Cortez, AC Grimaldi, AC Silver, and his team behind him there. Just going to go to my next set of screens here. We have Chief Priest, Sarah. We have Deputy Mayor Winograd, I believe, maybe on the line. I see Councilor Walters. And I believe our mayor is also going to be joining if she's not already on by phone. We have AC Riccabon on. But I saw, yes, there we go, AC Tara and Chief Riddick. Have I left anybody out? If I have, just please shout out so you can be recognized. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for being here this morning. The meeting is now called to order, and we will proceed through the agenda with our business items. I'll turn it over to our town manager, Mr. Ledwith, if we have any.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Great to see everyone. Just really wanted to take a moment to inform the committee of an incident that occurred on Sunday evening that required the coordination of several departments. And we all know about the fire that occurred on Kaya Avenue Friday afternoon, which was quickly extinguished by our fire department and led to an arrest by our police department. But on Sunday, at another location on Kaya Avenue, so a very busy weekend on Kaya Avenue, we had a large apartment building that had lost their heat and hot water. So our building department was there on Sunday working with the owner and contractor to attempt to get the heating system back up and running in a safe way. However, on early Sunday evening, our chief building inspector determined that we would not be able to allow residents to remain in their apartments safely. So over the course of the next several hours, we had our social services department, our police department, fire department, all working hand in hand to help safely relocate the residents in this building. There were 46 apartments in this building, and 2 of the residents had physical disabilities, which required us to call AMR in to assist with their transportation. So the swift action and collaboration among social services, police, fire, our building department, corporation counsel was involved at one point. All of that cooperation, collaboration made a significant difference for the residents affected. And I'm constantly, this is just another reminder and of how well we work together in these types of situations across so many different departments. So really I'm grateful for their continued commitment and dedication to serving our community, especially on a late Sunday evening. So good news is we were able to safely open the building yesterday and get everyone back into their homes. So just a quick shout out to our police and fire, as well as our social services and building department. So thank you, Madam Chair. I will turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Rick, for that information and update. Does any committee members have any questions regarding any of that before we move on to communications? No. Okay, wonderful. All right, so then we'll move on to communications. One item to note is that, just for the record, we do not have minutes to approve for this meeting. We will receive that the next meeting, so we will have two sets of minutes to approve when we meet again next month. All right, so we'll move on to communications. Mr. Town Manager, I would imagine that probably was
That was my communications. Thank you, Madam
okay.
Chair. We can
All
go into
right.
our reports.
All right, so we have up first is our police department update, and I will turn it over to Chief Riddick and his team.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Busy month in February. First question, are you receiving me okay? Can you hear me all right? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, thank you. First, I like to brag when our numbers are very good for motor vehicle enforcement. Last month, there was a significant decrease to the tune of approximately 43%. We had in February of 2024, 963 motor vehicle stops. In February of this year, we were down to 489. We believe, looking back at our numbers and our data as to find out what's going on there, the weather, we think that's the most significant component of that, because our motor vehicle accidents are actually up also. In February of 2024, we had 153, and this year 176. And as you know, February was brutal. Numerous snowfalls, ice storms, power outages, and everything else. So that's the main culprit with that. A lot of people were not on the road as far as speeding, and we did not keep up the enforcement. I'm not overly concerned regarding this. I know once the weather breaks, we'll be back up to normal. But I did want to highlight that and make sure everyone was aware. I did submit a full report. I'll just highlight a couple things and keep it moving. On February 8th, we had a burglary on LaSalle at Luxbon and Green, and then subsequently another burglary attempt on 9 Toll Street. Our officers actually were able to identify a vehicle and did an attempt to stop that vehicle, but it fled pursuant to our policy and state law. There was not a pursuit initiated, but I do think it's good work. They were able to locate the vehicle and make the attempt. On February 20th, doing a quote unquote routine motor vehicle stop, the operator had an active arrest warrant out of Waterbury for assault second, and also was arrested for possession of cocaine. On February 3rd, we had an incident that occurred on Park Road. A couple were inside an establishment, got in an argument with some patrons in there and an owner. The man made some threats to ERC on the phone, that he would shoot and kill people, that he would shoot and kill officers, and the like. We were able to locate that individual at his home. He barricaded himself inside. Some of our negotiators were able to use their techniques and their skills. And after some time, we were able to coax him to come out without injury. He was subsequently arrested for interfering with the police, resisting an arrest. 1 count of breach of peace, and 2 counts of threatening in the first degree. Our community support division has just been really crushing it out there, in addition with our detectives. On February 10th, our detectives were investigating an evading motor vehicle accident. The suspect ran, and we were able to locate a stolen firearm within the vehicle. And we're continuing right now to work with New Haven, because there's that that firearm is tied to a shooting that occurred in New Haven. So we're working with New Haven PD to identify that individual. We got some good leads. Our auto theft task force located 2 stolen motor vehicles and serve an arrest. And again, another illegal firearm was recovered in a shooting suspect out of Hartford. The individual also had an arrest warrant for assault first, reckless endangerment, carrying a pistol without permit, and risk of injury, violation of protective order, and there was a court set bond for $750,000. On February 14th, as a reminder, we have officers detailed and part of the statewide narcotics task force. They executed a controlled delivery and a search warrant just over the line in Hartford to arrest 20 kilos of cocaine, 2.7 grams of fentanyl. The value of the cocaine was about $600,000, and both arrestees were held on $1 million bonds each. So really, really good work, and you can see the value of us being part of that task force. On February 17th, there was a suspicious vehicle that was driving around acting strange near the Kane Street area. Our community support unit, after the vehicle conducted an illegal maneuver, did a motor vehicle stop. Long story short, the vehicle ended up being stolen out of Philadelphia, and the operator was taken to custody and stolen on various charges for stolen motor vehicle. And then lastly, on the 28th, if you recall, well, actually a little bit before that, but our investigation, we had a New Park, the shooting. The individual was upset with an establishment, boldly in the middle of traffic, stepped out of his vehicle and began shooting at the business establishment. We had no name, weak ID at best. Did a lot of good old-fashioned police work. Fortunately, we have our cameras that are up in that location, so we're able to get a picture of the vehicle, a picture of the individual, and just really just beating the streets, talking to people, conducting interviews, using some cell phone data. We're able to locate this individual. And just really, there's certain. Listen, well, we're always proud of our officers when they do a good job, but this one, like when you have basically nothing, and then you just work it, work it, work it, and then it culminates with an arrest. It says a lot about our detectives. It says a lot about our community support unit. It also says a lot about our patrol officers initially when this shooting occurred to lock down the scene, secure witnesses, and the like. So anyways, we made the arrest of the individual, and he was charged with criminal possession of a firearm, one count of illegal discharge of a firearm, one count of reckless endangerment, and one count of criminal mischief. So really, really good work, and very pleased with those efforts. That being said, Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Riddick. Are there any questions for Chief Riddick from committee members or other counselors? Okay, I'm just going to go through my screen so I can see everyone. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, no questions. Chief Riddick, I don't have a question, but I noticed in terms of your vacancies, you're down to 3 vacancies. That's correct. So I think we've come a long way, right? We've seen a lot of progress from the higher number of vacancies that we started off with. So I just want to acknowledge that and send you congratulations, because that's got to be a lot of work and effort on your part and the team. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you. And actually, in the calendar year, we've hired 21 people. In the fiscal year, it's approximately 14. If you recall, we started the year with 2024 with 13 to 14 vacancies. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So now we will move over to Chief Priest and AC Silver and their crew to give us a fire department update. So I'll turn it over to you all.
Good morning, Madam Chair. How's my audio? All right. Can you hear me?
It's coming in a little choppy.
All right. How about now?
Still choppy.
All right. Sorry about that. Give me 2 seconds. Let me see what I can do.
The chief is fighting a cold. Maybe that was his real voice.
Okay. I was going to.
How about that? Does that work?
I'm sorry, Chief Priest, it's still coming in choppy and staticky.
We'll have to go with the written report.
And Chief Riddick, I don't want you giving him a hard time.
Sometimes, Madam Chair, silence is the best advocate.
I'm not certain what Chief Priest's plan is right now. Oh, there he is.
We'll give him a little more time. Looks like he's trying to work on it.
All right, let's try that. Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's beautiful.
All right.
Excellent.
My apologies for that. So let me start with this. I can hear the chief with his silence comment. I appreciate that. So anybody who knows me knows that I identify as a dad first, and I taught my kids a lot about sharing early in life, and they've been very kind to share whatever cold du jour is kicking around their school. So I apologize I'm not there in person, but as you can see, my team is very happily smiling that I am not there to share with them. So I do have a very brief report today here for you. The town manager has covered a lot of what I was going to talk about. I did submit a written report. Very thankful to my command staff for holding down everything that's going on in headquarters. A few brief things for you. Pleased that we had numerous applicants for a staff assistant position, which will be replacing Sue Bedford in the fire marshal's office. And I wanted to extend my appreciation to Mike Peruccio, Jeff Dufresne, and Melinda for helping out AC Grimaldi over in the fire marshal's office as we experience a time without our staff assistant. Pleased to report that Vince Avarista has been promoted to apparatus operator, and now we're starting to stack up a pretty good amount of promotions. We have a couple more to make, and then we will likely have a fairly large promotional ceremony, and we'll make sure to get that on the council's calendar soon. The town manager has already covered the Kaya Ave incidents, but there was actually a fire earlier in the month, so it's been there were two fires on Kaya. I also would like to give my shout out to the folks that were dealing with the relocation efforts there, specifically Tim McLoach, Chief Smith, and Karen Paquette and others. That was a lot of activity over there. So, in Chief Smith's words to me in a text, he said it was the largest relocation that he's participated in his time in West Hartford. So that was a big deal, but it was done seamlessly, and I really appreciated it. I also appreciate the partnership with the police department and the fire marshal's office. This is just another example of how things happen after fires, which is our fire investigators around investigating it and then working collaboratively with the police department to make sure that the individuals are held accountable and charged appropriately. I would call that a big boy charge. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but when you're lighting a fire in an occupied building, that's incredibly serious, and look forward to seeing how that progresses. As you're aware, we also do something called a PINO, or a post-incident neighborhood outreach, and probably be working with staff shortly to get into the Kaya Ave there. We'd like to make sure that we're reassuring our residents about the dangers of fire and making sure that they feel comfortable, and also making sure that all the building systems, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors are in place. With that, just some upcoming things this month. We had started a project before the pandemic to do some safety and security assessments, some of the town buildings. We're actively working on that through the Office of Emergency Management in collaboration with many other stakeholders in town to make sure we have that. We continue to have discussions as a nod to Councilor Cortez. We're continuing our discussions to replace the training tower. We've had recent discussions in the last week to make sure that that project moves forward swiftly, but appropriately as well. And then lastly, I'll end it with something that I'm very, very proud of, which is right now we're actively discussing with the West Hartford Public Schools running a summer bridge program, which will take students that we've previously taught the EMR curriculum, or emergency medical responder. And we're looking to put on a summer school program that will help them bridge to the emergency medical technician certification. So that's good. I'm really looking forward to that. And we're also discussing with the schools whether or not we can advance in future years, maybe not next year, but the year after, about how we would be able to work with the schools to provide EMT actually during the school year. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Priest. Chief Riddick.
Yeah, if I can, through you, Madam Chair, the charges for that, I didn't mention it. I gave it. I assumed the FD would do that. But in the criminal part of that of the arson fire that we had, Ruben Robin was arrested for criminal attempt at arson, murder, arson in the first degree, reckless endangerment, first degree, risk of injury to a minor, and he was a surety bond for $1.5 million.
Wow.
And that was for Kaya, 98 Kaya.
Thank you for that update. Okay. Okay, back over to you, Chief Priest. Any questions for Chief Priest from the committee members or any other counselors that are on? No. Okay. All right, Chief Priest, I don't have any questions either for you, but just going through the report, I just had two things that I wanted to ask you. Was one about the falls in the report in terms of in town, I guess it's older homes. When I guess crew go in and observe and kind of do the assessment, are they finding anything in particular? And just for me, the first thing that kind of comes to my mind, I was trying to figure out a better word to use other than clutter, but perhaps just a lot of stuff that maybe can be tossed out, organized. But is it that perhaps they don't have the assistance to help or do so? Can you elaborate on that if you can?
Sure, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for that question. I appreciate it. That's an important project to us. I'm going to hit it at the high level, and then I'll probably turn it over to Chief Silver, who was at one of our most recent meetings on this. So that's exactly what we're trying to identify: root causes, the things that may be contributing to falls inside of homes, and then referring people to the appropriate resource that they might need. So if that is social services, if that's some variation thereof. I can tell you right before I pass it over to Chief Silver, we're still in the data collection phase. So it is a new program. We're asking our staff to do something new and to provide information. So we are getting some bits and pieces of information, but I don't believe we're in a place now where we can make any conclusions or offer root causes. And I'll hand that over to Chief Silver if I've missed anything or if he wants to add it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Madam Chair, very early in the data collection stage right now. What we have identified is really no single indicators. Most that it's happening largely in private residence. About 70% of the calls have been happening in private residences, and it is largely our older population. Most significantly, our population over 80 years old. As far as identifiable causes. Nothing really has stood out yet. Most have been ground level falls. So we're still in the process of seeing if there's anything else that we can specifically point to. But at each instance, the crews are looking to see if for that individual there are any other devices or assistances that we can provide for them to help prevent reoccurrence.
Okay, thank you. And then one other question for either you, Chief Priest, or somebody in the crew is around the Spanish Cert training classes that needed to be canceled due to lack of enrollment. Can you just elaborate on that? I'm just curious. Did you have a low number? Do you have any idea of what could have contributed to that?
Madam Chair, I personally don't have any more information other than there was low enrollment. I can, everybody's like, whoa, there we go, they're inside. So that appears to me that perhaps our emergency management program specialist, Mike Peruccio, insight for us.
Thank you, Chief. Madam Chairwoman, yeah, we did have a low enrollment. We tried this last year as well. And in order to justify holding a class, as much as we'd love to hold it for 1 or 2 people, because we believe the information is very important to get out, we just had a very, very low number of people that registered. I don't have the exact number, but it was definitely under 10, so it just didn't justify it. However, we do our best to try to make sure that these folks are also aware of the classes that we do have, even though they're English speaking. We do have materials that are printed in Spanish, so if anybody wants to come to those, they're more than welcome to, but just having a very hard time getting enough interest to hold a Spanish-specific class. We have 2 firefighters here in town that are fluent in Spanish that have volunteered both times to come and teach. So we're hoping that changes maybe in the future, but we'll keep at it.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's see if there aren't any other questions or comments. We will move to the next agenda item, which is any future agenda items. And do we have any future agenda items from committee members or staff? I don't, counselors, I don't see any. All right, so we'll move on to adjournment, and I'll give you a whole lot of time back in your day. It's now 8:26. Now I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And second, okay, thank you so much. All in favor? Aye. And we are now adjourned, everyone. Thank you so much for
Have a
this
good day,
morning.
everyone. Thank you.
Take care and watch each other's